It's comment time. So, a few days ago, I put up a video about 1.21 and how a lot of people seem to think that all we're getting is what has already been shown to us. A lot of people were fairly negative in the comments, but there are also a few that were quite supportive and agreed. So, let's take a look at a few of them. And I need to read this from my phone as I walk here. Just watch me fall in a hole. All right, so in my opinion, I think part of the confusion is that we are getting updates to 1.20 at the same time we are being introduced to 1.21. For example, we were introduced to the villager trading nerf, then they backpedaled. Yet some people think it already happened. They don't realize that it's still in the experimental phase. So yeah, it wasn't put into the actual game, and because a lot of people were quite upset about it, and making that a very, very grindy aspect of the game even grindier. A lot of people really didn't want to have to deal with having to go to multiple biomes just to get all of the villager trades that they want, or the librarian villager trades that they want. And a lot of people already, they're tired of the whole villager thing. Like, villagers need some kind of update, but not that. At least I don't think so. Yeah. But anyways, next up. After the snapshots there were pre-releases for another version of 1.20 which contained bug fixes, and those kids just saw a word pre-release and went whining in comment sections and on Reddit because they thought that was the big update. Even though we were meant to get that in June, it's not Mojang's fault. It's the parents' fault who didn't teach their kids to read properly. Okay. Just so you know, I was planning on leaving these comments until doing this video, because I just wanted to be surprised about what was said in these. I've only briefly glanced at a few. This one I did not read, but that's a good comment there. But yeah, it's not just kids. There's a lot of adults who are also not paying attention. Really, a lot of adults are not listening. And I think I covered this whole thing in that video. So yeah, reading comprehension. Very important thing. Also, paying attention to what they are saying is also very important. All right, next up. This one goes into various versions here. I think the reason the updates feel smaller now is because the updates aren't adding as substantial features. 1.13, 14, 16, 17/18 changed a part of the game massively. But then the updates to come out after really were not as substantial in any way, hence the feeling of disappointment with these newer updates. I get what you mean about this. So let me see. 1.17 and 18 was Caves and Cliffs. Completely changed the way everything is generated. That is a massive update, and that's the last, totally world-changing update that we received. I agree. 1.19 and 1.20, while they did add biomes, they each added a biome, so we got Cherry Grove last time and Mangrove Swamp the time before. But the thing is, we got new wood types, and I love both of them. We did get a few interesting different things, of course. But yeah, I get what you mean about that. I think they're just somewhat different concepts instead of revamping an entire region, you know? And before that, 1.16, that was... Wait a minute. Was that the Nether update? I believe it was, yes. The Nether update, huge update. 1.15 before that was the Busy Bees update, which was mostly a bug fix update and added bees. 1.14, wasn't that the Village and Pillage? Or was that the Oceans update? The Oceans update was 1.13. I'm getting them mixed up, but both of them did change major parts of the game. So I agree about that. Yeah, so we'll see what happens with 1.21. All right, who's next? The Ocean update was amazing. That is, I think, the type of update people want. The Nether update similarly really was good. Yeah. Caves and Cliffs failed as a big update, and it caused all the current dissatisfaction. Depends on your point of view. I personally absolutely love that update. It is probably my favorite update. So, there you go. You're going to get people who disagree with you with this. I absolutely love the world terrain generation. Maybe you mean it failed because they had to split it into two? I feel that it was too large of an update. Really, they just took on way too much. And they ended up having, burnout. They were pushing so hard to get it done, but they realized, you know what? If they did continue to push to have it all in one update, we would have had less. I think that the terrain generation would not have been anywhere near as good as we've got now. So I'm glad they split it into two because we got an amazing update there. And that's just my opinion. I just love that update. It says 1.18 was incredible to play. It just didn't go beyond the earlier updates in gameplay. Okay. Can see where you're going with that, but we've got also Ancient Cities and Deep Dark, and that was interesting. But the thing is, it does change gameplay. The distribution of ores is completely different. And you have to strategize where exactly you're going to be mining now. It's like it really did change that. The whole mining aspect was changed quite a bit. As a longtime Minecraft player, I want an update to be big enough to spend some weeks with instead of the drip-fed minor updates that don't really appeal to the seasonal player like myself. Now, if I remember, I wasn't playing way back then, but early on, I believe they were updating like lots of minor updates here and there in the early stages. I think that's the way it was. You know what? I want daytime, so let's go. It's a lot brighter. Okay. Hello, spiders. All right, so let's move on to another one here. Let's see. There we go. Honestly, I think it's because after the Caves and Cliffs delays, Mojang then just didn't deliver on shown features in 1.19. And I know what you mean, the birch forest. I get it. And then when the community got enraged, they decided to make the scope of 1.20 literally minuscule and show only the stuff they were 100% sure they finished. And you know why they did that? They were actually getting threats. Really, they were getting threats. Which is absolutely ridiculous. So, they were doing it to protect themselves. And no one, like a game developer, does not deserve to have threats. It's absolutely stupid. Very stupid. I don't know. It's just like I saw how hard Henrik Nyberg was working on the terrain generation. I was doing videos where I was looking for bugs in it, and he watched them all. And he fixed bugs that I found. And, just to make it look so incredibly amazing the way it is right now. And of course, he's taken a leave. So he's no longer doing any development work for Mojang. So I think he was just being, like several others, just way too much pressure put on them. I can understand why they are doing it this way. But honestly, I like it this way because it gives us something to look forward to each week with every snapshot. It's just so interesting that way. Going by a similar line of thought, I think it's reasonable to assume Mojang is just going to add a few more small features, the armadillo, and call it a day with trial spawners and the trial key getting implemented. I disagree. I very much disagree. 1.20, what they introduced before Christmas was a handful of things, and people thought, oh, this is it. But they introduced a whole new biome, a whole new wood type, archaeology. They introduced the pottery. They introduced the trail. This is archaeology, yeah. I'm just repeating myself here. But you see, they did add quite a few new things afterwards. And I think they're adding the biggest things later on because they take the most time to develop. So that is why we aren't seeing those big things yet. And with it being the 15-year anniversary, I think they're going for something fairly big this year. But that's just my opinion. We just have to wait and see, right? Okay. Next. Personally, I think that there's a lot of anxiety that this update is going to be underdeveloped. Okay, pretty much saying similar thing here. The trial chambers offer to improve a part of the game that has been untouched since 1.9. Whoops. I should be watching where I'm going. All right there. Okay. The combat. For once, it seems that Mojang is working on the combat system, so even though development is still at its infancy, people are worried that this feature will get delayed again like it was with Jeb's combat redesigns, or like how archaeology was delayed into 1.20. I'll get to that in a moment. There's no confirmation that this feature will be worked on, and that gives the community anxiety, especially the PvP community who have been using 1.8 since the controversial changes made in 1.9. So long ago. But yeah, we don't know if we're going to get anything significant with combat. The trial chambers is something that involves combat, of course. The delay of archaeology. Now, this is just from what I've heard. The delay was because what they developed for 1.18 turned out, or 1.17 even, turned out that it wasn't testing very well. It was kind of boring the way they had it. So they weren't going to put it in the way it was, obviously, because people would have been disappointed. So they took their time to develop it, and I'm glad they did. I like the trail ruins. I like having the pottery. That's really nice. But there's so many things that they've added, and wow. Thank you, 1.18. I love that update. But this makes it hard for me to walk anywhere. So anyways. So that is basically what I've heard about archaeology. Now, as for combat, again, this remains to be seen. What's going to happen with it? So we'll see. But yeah, I get it. I absolutely get that there is anxiety. You know, I don't have any anxiety about it. I'm just taking what they give us. They're free updates. And whatever we receive is like, oh, here's something new. I'm going to use it now. Very interesting. If you know what I mean. I think that people are complaining. I think that the thing that people are complaining, and I myself, is that Mojang are adding things that most players don't really care about. Yes, they add a lot of small stuff, but it could be things that players won't ever touch in a run of MC. I personally want to touch everything in updates. And as a builder. Like, I'm a builder. A lot of the things that have been added are for building, but I want to use everything in some way. But you know what? There are things that I never really dealt with very much. You know, I don't do a lot with villagers personally, but it is something that I need to work on. But it's never been one of my favorite things. Wow. Sorry about the black screen. It appears I ran out of memory. Whoops. Everything should be okay now. I just had way too many videos on my hard drive, and it just takes up so much space. So, yeah. I was not expecting that. Anyways, as I was saying, there are aspects that I personally don't use a lot of, at least for now, but I will. I will use a lot, or I plan on using everything. But the beauty about Minecraft is you can use what you want. You choose. You choose what aspects of the game you want to use. And that, I just love that about the game. You know, some people don't even play survival. So you got that. You got people who do creative only. So you think the creative people are going to complain if things like combat are changed? Mm-hmm. Because they don't use it. They don't care about that, right? So you see, there are different types of players. Not everyone uses everything. And you're just not going to change that opinion. Well, here's one. Finally, someone sane. There's so many problems with the community. Like, for example, a large portion of people thought that trial keys would be used to open a whole new dimension, saying things like, "Oh my god, this key looks so much like the deep dark," which is total BS. It looks like the spawners they came from, and why would they give you so many keys to open one door to one dimension? How can someone be so out of their own mind? Okay. Yeah, the thing is, when people start speculating on what something is for, a lot of people are going to get it totally wrong. That's why I do not speculate about this. I can guess, right? I have done videos where I've speculated about what an update may be, but I haven't done that in a while. And I'm just going to watch and see what happens. So yeah, don't jump to conclusions and think that, oh, it's going to be a new dimension. Who knows? We may still get one. You don't know. We really don't know until we see what they are coming out with in the next few snapshots. So we'll see then, won't we? All right. Here's a short one. In the past, we got 10 things that were announced, and I'm guessing there was a number that was missed, and some number that weren't, but now we get 5 from announcement and 2 after. That's why people think that. No, that's not the way it is. We don't get 5 things from the announcement and then 2 things after the announcement. We may get 5 things from the announcement, and then afterwards we get about 20 new things. I think you forgot how 1.20 went. So I just want to say that. Don't say that we're not going to be getting much after this, because there are several months left of development. So we are getting quite a lot more. Here's a bit of a long one here. I think it's part misinformation, part dishonesty. Rage bait creates clicks, unfortunately. So a lot of dishonest content creators, sometimes even just regular people who are craving for any kind of attention, rile people up and needlessly lie about the update, even though they know fully more stuff will be added. I know of a few channels that do this, and I don't like to watch them because they on purpose, they try to get people outraged about something that they don't need to be outraged about. Lots of clickbaity titles as well. And this is a massive, massive Badlands. I've been going through this for a long time. Yeah, so let's see. And the kids who aren't following the developers and who didn't watch Minecraft Live or only watched a small part of it actually believe that what they see online and enter the RageBait bandwagon. Yeah. Oh, and thank you for your video and for not being one of those clickbaity channels. Just that morally, at least, makes you 500% times better than a lot of channels out there. Well, thank you for that. I personally don't like dishonest clickbait, so what you see is what you get. But yeah, I think of a lot of it is that people just aren't getting the information. And that's really it. People just are not getting everything that is out there. And I watch closely what's going on. And I know for a fact that we are getting quite a lot more. Because they said we are. It's that simple. So I have no worries about that. So we will be getting plenty more. Don't worry about that, okay? And then here is the most wonderful. I think this is the most wonderful one. You be the judge. We are definitely not getting more, if not less. They always start the snapshots showcases with the biggest stuff. That's not the way it was last year. We used to get a summer and a winter update. But now Mojang became lazy cowards, scared to add something interesting to the game. Okay, I'm going to stop right there because calling them lazy cowards, that's out of line. They're not lazy. They're working their butts off on this. Okay? They are not cowards either. What they are is concerned about their own personal mental health. And they don't want to have a repeat of what happened with 1.17, 1.18. That was not good for them. That, especially as I mentioned before, because of threats against their being. It really happened, and some of the devs were just very angry about it. Also, you may have found that developers haven't been talking as much lately because people are being, pardon the language, dumbasses about the whole thing. So, no, maturity is so low amongst a lot of Minecraft, especially young Minecraft players, of course. Maturity would be low amongst the young ones, but not just the young ones, grown-up ones as well. There is this lack of maturity and respect. Okay, so people, the update is going to be coming. We are going to be getting more than what we have seen. We do know that. Saying otherwise is just dishonest. Just really. And it continues. Scared to add something interesting to the game, so now we wait a year for them to add a stupid mob nobody wanted, but somehow voted for, and a small dungeon. Trial chambers are not small. No idea what you're thinking there. We used to get a summer and a winter update. It's kind of funny because I only remember 1.15 was a winter update. 1.14 was a summer, 1.13 was a summer. I remember Bedrock used to get these little updates here and there about 4 or 5 years ago. But these were like updates where they were adding things that were already in Java. So they're catching up, parity updates, so to speak. So the update cycle for Bedrock was quite different from Java. But for the most part, Java was doing like one big update, and you know, we are getting a small update, a small winter update. Do you realize that? Plus, we are always getting these many small updates that deal with bugs. And that's what 1.15 was as well. It was a bug update. And whoa, look at that village. Interesting. Daytime, please. All right. And that is the last one. Sorry, this is a bit of a long video here, but you know, sometimes it's good to get things off my chest and address the comments, especially some of them are a little bit out of line, I think, but I answered them. But anyways, what I'd like everyone to do is support the developers, because it's not an easy job. A lot of people don't seem to realize what they have to do, what they have to go through. And you also have to understand that they are doing these updates for two different platforms. Not two platforms, but two different versions, Java and Bedrock, which are on using two different programming languages. As for Bedrock Edition, they have to make sure that it works on all different platforms that they do. All the consoles, on PC, on iOS, on Android. Each one has their own rules and regulations for games. So they have to comply with every single one of them, which means that they're developing the same game multiple times. And the Bedrock and Java development, they want to get both done at the same time, right? So we have the updates at the same time. So they are working together for parity purposes, of course. So please remember that they are not just really programming one game. It's more like 10 games. It's a lot. So give them a little bit of slack in that department, huh? All right. So I'm assuming that you are going to have comments. I'll reply to them. I'll reply to them in the comments section. So please let me know what you think. And I know some of you are probably going to be giving me some fairly negative comments. I expect that. I'm a fairly seasoned YouTuber here, even though this channel only has 133 subscribers at the moment, but it has just been started, and I haven't really advertised it. All of the stuff that I'm getting on this channel, or most of it, is organic. So I really haven't let people know very much at all. So I'm not even tweeting these on Twitter or X or Zwitter or whatever you want to call it. Haven't shared them on Discord. I should probably change that. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you like this kind of video, and please don't forget to subscribe. And we will see you next time. Bye-bye.